It's getting recorded, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So our first question is like k closest point to the origin. So we have a list of points on the plane, and we are supposed to find k closest point to the origin, and distance between the distance will be measured in like Euclidean distance, and we were supposed to return the answer in on any order, and there will be the answer is guaranteed to be unique. Yeah, for them it will be under root. This will be what root 1 plus root 1 is 1 only, and 3 square 9 plus 1 10, so root 10, and so root 8 this is, so root 8 is less than root 10, so they were returning this point. Yeah, not much. I think they both are same, because this is also 18, this is also 8, root of 18, so both are same. Yeah. So what will be the brute force here?
No, no, the other one is not 18, right?
2
339.
square is 4.
4.
Oh, 2 points you are asking, sir. Yeah. 2 square is 4, 4 square is 16. 16 plus
4
4 is
is
20,
20.
root
That
of
is
20.
18. Yeah, and that is 18, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, both are different. Yeah. Okay.
So what would be the brute force here?
Yeah, so this looks very straightforward, right? It's just take all the coordinates, whatever are there in this input points area or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and then look for whichever are closer to the uh, origin
Origin.
coordinate. Yeah, okay. So if it is origin, you mean just subtract by 0, so it's nothing subtraction. Just use whatever that x value is and square that, add it with the y square value, right?
Yeah.
And then you get the distance. And then you square root it if you want to.
Get it. Yeah. Exactly.
So just go through each and every point and find out
Equilibrium.
whichever is closer, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you will have to maintain something. If it is k equals only 1, so it will be easier, right?
The smallest one. Your first one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just find the first one. If there are more number of k's, then you can have a for loop, an external for loop, which is for each and every k. And so whenever you find the first maximum, just mark that visited or something like that, and then keep on going till you don't complete all the k's. I'm just talking about a brute force.
Or calculate all the distance and sort them, and then pick the first two.
Right, right. So that will be a better way of doing it. Just sort it, and
But again,
then
for calculating the distance, it will be and same time complexity will be right.
no, actually, the earlier also going to you are going to calculate the distance at each and every time. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can store it somewhere, but for
Exactly.
this also it is going to be the this will be more efficient, right? Sorting.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you are going to each and every k and just pick the if it is sorted, then you just pick the number of case values, put it in result array, and then return it. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone wants to share code. I mean,
Yeah, but we can still find a more optimized solution, right, in this.
optimize solution for this. Yeah.
uh, so what are the other ones?
One is like you can calculate the Euclidean distance and put them into a heap, a priority queue, and just heapify them and keep on popping till the k reduces to 0. Min heap
Yeah,
make a
okay, so that will be lesser than the sorting one. Yeah, that will be more efficient. Yeah.
yeah. Or apart from that, I think
So if it is min heap, it will be n log k, right?
yeah, and okay. Long, yeah. Each for deleting will be order of one, because from it's a min heap, and after deleting you'll heapify, that will be log of k number of elements. It depends. Like if initially you are putting every element, then
Yeah, I
Then
think for min heap it would be this n log n, I think.
yeah, if every element we push, yeah. Then,
Yeah, for
but
min heap,
every time we are popping the element, n is decreasing, right? So log n plus log n minus one, and
so how are you like doing it through min heap?
what I'm doing, I'm calculating all the distances first and
Okay,
putting them into the heap
okay,
and heapifying them. After heapifying, I'm as long as my k is not equal to 0, till that extent I'll keep on popping from the heap.
okay. So this would be n log n, right?
And log n, yeah, worst case, but yeah, but every time one element is getting decreased from heap also, right? I mean, the
That would
moment I pop out here. So
that would
yeah,
be this.
overall it will be n log n.
Yeah, that would be the second part when you are trying to obtain your k elements.
Yeah.
We can use a max heap. We can put the first k elements, like the
Okay.
first k distances in that max heap, and then check for k plus 1th distance till nth distance. Like if my k plus 1th distance is smaller than the top of my max heap, then I'll pop my max heap and put this. So at the end, I'll have k smallest distances.
Yeah. That.
This
so
would be
that will
n.
be n log k or something. Yeah.
I want to share Harshit.
I'll have to look for the code. Right? So I'll just click.
Oh, sure. In the meanwhile, like what
Sure. Yeah. Let's go through your code.
I just calculate for, I mean, for every, I calculate the Euclidean distance for each of the points, and as and when I'm calculating, I'm pushing them into
Shashank,
the heap. Yeah.
I want to just know the time complexity of this problem. What if we just finding the value every time and pushing it into the heap, and we are also checking if the size of the heap is not greater than k? Then what will be the time complexity? Is it n log k, or is it n plus n log k? Well, I'm not sure how can someone just make it clear. I can show you my code how it did it, but I'm not sure if it's time complexity. Can someone tell me?
Okay, Devan. Can we just first finish what Shashank is showing, then we
Yeah,
can come to your. Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
So here I'm putting this this Euclidean distance along with the points, which all points, like from which all points we are getting that distance. And once the all the points are put into my heap, what I'm doing, I'm just heapifying it, sorting it kind of. And as long as my heap is not empty, and k I'm taking k, like let's say k is 2. So first element it will be popped. Cur will have two elements, tuple of values. So first one, because the first is like this is 0th one, Euclidean distance. This is one and this is two. So this is what I'm appending to my result and decreasing the k by one, and finally we are returning the rest. I mean the final resultant.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
good. Shashank, why Hippify? What is I?
EP5 it will short it.
So what is the heap push you're doing?
Like the whatever, I mean, actually what we have to we have to get the smallest distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I put all the distances, it won't be in a sorted way, so it will sort it, in heap it will get sorted, and then each time the smaller element will pop up. In min heap I'm doing, because plus I'm putting, I mean, this is the min heap.
actually, it doesn't require to do the heapify because heapq would automatically do this
Yeah.
in Python. Yes,
Is it
yes.
okay then?
And the other thing
Shashank,
is, you have taken the min heap. Min heap. If we can take the max heap,
Yeah, it's correct then. Yeah, then I don't need.
yeah. If you can do with the max heap, then you just need the size of heap as k, because like now you are putting all the points in a heap, rather than we just need to put k points in a heap, and whomsoever is and the max heap would pop out, and whatever left in our heap, that would be our answer.
Left element in the heap.
Sorry, somebody is the people.
Yeah. Let me mute. I don't know from where.
Uh,
I would say mute all and then just unmute who is talking.
yeah,
Yeah, sure. Now we can.
yeah. So what was your question? Sorry.
My question. I mean, you were telling that the elements remaining in the heap will be your answer, or the elements that you pop out from the heap will be your answer.
The remaining would be my answer, because I'll be taking max heap, and the whosoever has the maximum distance would pop
Will be
out.
popped out.
Yeah, and because I am remaining my size of heap as k. So
So
k,
yeah.
so that's one optimization which we can do.
Yeah, that is true. I think Harshit, do you have a code? Because Harshit was actually.
Yeah, I have a code.
Okay.
1 second. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So here I'm taking you can take this as a heap, and I have just made a one class to point it out my start and end. And I have created my point. This is a distance which we need to calculate, and I calculate this distance. And this is just a check. If my size of the heap is reached to the k, then I'll just check. This is called a peek in Java, which is like to check if my the distance which is already present in a heap and my new distance, if my new distance is less than the already existing heap, already existing distance, then I'll pop that. This will be pop, and I'll push the new points. And this is if my size of heap is less than k, then I'll just directly push it. I am taking a negative sign over here because in Java there is nothing like a max heap. It's only min heap. So negative distance would make my max heap. And in the end, sorry.
I mean, you by mistakenly said Java. It's a Python. If that happens.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. So in end, I am just returning the whatever left in a heap and their points, p start and p end. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so Harshit, was your code also almost similar?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think Devan had some questions about this code, right? Is it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to ask the Shashank put all the values into the heap first, and then he pop out the every values out of it. So it is gonna take n log n time for sure. But what is the time complexity of this code, where you are every time inserting a value onto the heap, and you are even checking if it's greater than k?
This would be n log k, I suppose. Am I correct?
Yeah, log k times db.
Yeah. Instead of log n, it would be log k.
Because only k elements are db.
I just wanted to ask, how is this calculation? Because the outer loop runs for total n elements, and when you just insert into the heap, there are n elements out of which you do the sorting within the heap. So basically, it is taking n log k times, okay, every time, because it is not having more than k elements every time. Okay.
But the points we are, for example, if we have n points, we are going towards n. Like points are n size. We are traversing n points, but the size of our. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm telling you, k elements we are putting inside the heap.
Yeah. So no, see, actually, what he's trying to say. So your outer loop is doing n times, right? So whenever you do any operation in a heap, it takes log of n time complexity. So therefore, here we are actually only inserting k elements, right? So it will be log of k.
Yeah.
Therefore, it is n log k.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, oh,
Okay.
okay.
So that is the reason we say n log k.
Okay. So I thought it to be K log K, something
No, no,
like
no.
a normal shorting you done into and like a most efficient shorting we do for our n size loop. So it's n log n. So I thought it to be K log K. So sorry.
So the Proteus property is the worst case, it would go to n log n, I think.
Yeah. I'm not
But
sure.
if, yeah, I think so, yeah. But
How could that be? Because it's a heap, right? If you
Yeah, it
even if you
won't.
look at the implementation in a array, it is always going to be a complete binary tree, almost complete binary tree, right? So it
Yeah,
would,
it
that is what it is, very efficient actually. Yeah, sorry, go ahead,
Order of
Harshit.
n it takes. No, for building the heap that we said. Sorry. For
yeah
building
it,
the heap, we
It
require
would
order of n,
always,
right?
in this case, it will always be log of k, or
Yeah.
even if it is the whole heap, it will be log of n for each
Log.
and every
Yeah.
operation.
Yeah.
yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
there's one another way of doing this, that is by using a quick sort.
Yeah, I think so. Divide and conquer, right?
Yeah, like we keep on going till we find our pivot at the kth position, and then all the elements to the left will be your answer. Yeah, divide and conquer.
Right. So that would be more efficient way of doing it than the heap.
Yeah, that would
Yes,
be
that
in.
it's not guaranteed every time, right? Like worst case we can get n log n, but most of the times we can get we can maybe best case we can get n. We get somewhere between n and n log n.
But we won't go the entire sorting process, right? We'll stop as soon
Yeah,
as we have our k elements sorted.
yeah, yeah. But if the pivot element which you are trying to every time we kind of select a pivot element that kind of try to sort the whole array, then we are somehow sorting the whole array, that will be n log n.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends on how the input array is, right?
I think in pivot element, how we select the, yeah, maybe the input array and also pivot element, how we take the
Okay.
pivot element.
So whenever you
like the
select a pivot element, what is the best way of selecting it? Because usually they
like the
say is the last one, they always select the
yeah.
last one.
Yeah, but we don't know. It depends on the how the elements are arranged in the array and also our pivot element. So
But you
maybe,
will only decide know which element you want as a pivot.
Yeah, I don't think there is any like optimal way of choosing a pivot.
Mhm.
I choose the last element. That's I think more of a practice thing.
Okay.
yeah, it's easy to implement. I think so that way.
Yeah. So even if they say, you can randomize and use, okay, you can always pick up any randomized value and then push that to the last value and then use it. To some extent, actually, it might be better, if you randomize that.
Oh,
Yeah, makes sense.
Randomization gives us the flexibility for choosing the pivot, right?
Yeah.
And,
This is
but
just
again,
I'm thinking, thinking louder. It's not maybe very correct way of doing it, but I think I read it somewhere. If you have to do it randomized, you can do it this way.
yeah,
And we are used to always picking it from the last because it's very convenient,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, Harshit, do you have an implementation of this you would like to show?
That implementation. No, I don't have the implementation.
Okay. Dilip?
Uh, I solved find the kth smallest element, but for this one I'm between and it was giving some error, so I didn't
Okay.
go completely.
Okay, no problem. Anyone who has that solution? Okay. Okay, no problem. Anyone who has that solution? 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 Okay, no problem. Anyone w Okay.
I think it's there in the solution.
Right. It is there in the solution. So yeah, you would like to go through that, or that is fine. We just move to the next question.
I think let's go through that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's quickly go through it.
That quick select something they are using. This one, right?
Yeah. You don't go through the discussion. You just go through the solution, because that
Yeah.
is because you'll again have to go to those quick select and all that.
Yeah, let's go through the solution.
Yeah.
This is the one, right? First one only. No.
No. Go to the solution.
Oh,
Solution tab.
oh, solution tab you're saying, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought.
It is there in that. Yeah. If you go down. And divide and conquer. So this is actually more time complexity wise. Even the lead code gives more preference to this, and you get a better time complexity in this one. The only thing is the way he has implemented is slightly different.
Something like thread and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is very different, right? Okay. So
Yeah,
let me see if I have a very old implementation. Okay.
sure.
Yeah, and then we'll go through that because that will be a very standard one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That mid position was returning the position of that pivot. And if that position is less than K, then we go to the right side. Otherwise, we take the other route.
What is that quick select?
Why am I unable to share it?
It's not visible.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so this is the one. Okay. So we have this K closest right, and this is the resultant. I'm just having this N over here, and then these are the left and right positions, and the normal way of doing a quick sort, right? You have a partition, you push on these points, and then you put L and R. And whenever if you have this pivot equals K, just break it. If pivot is less than K, then just move your left pointer or else you move your right pointer. The very simple way of doing a quick sort, correct? So, and if you come here in the partition, that is the only different. What we do here is like you have these points. Okay, and then I'm just finding the distance over here. And that is what the distance I'm comparing with. And as usual, I'm using the rightmost one. That is what the partition pivot will be. And then this will be the IDX one, which is actually pointing one element prior to L and then running a loop from L to R. Then just comparing the distance with the one what we are actually having the pivot distance. If it is less, then I just swap it. Okay, or else increment this. And at the end, I swap this IDX with the R and then return this IDX value, because this is the one actually will be pointing to the one which are lesser than the M distance, whatever the pivot here we are here. And this is the IDX. If I return that, and that will be the pivot. Okay, so it is very straightforward, same like a quick sort, and it worked because I was trying to follow that solution. It did not. It had other stuff in it, right? And the way he implemented was slightly different. So this is a standard way of doing a quick sort, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use that and it worked.
Is n log n, right?
Worst case is n log n.
Santosh, Santosh, can you share this solution in chat?
Sure. In the chat or in the Discord?
Anything is fine.
Okay, I'll share in the Discord. Okay, so the worst case will be n log n. That is what Dilip said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is it better than the
Yeah.
maxi?
Better than max heap, actually, we are not using extra space.
Yeah, but time is more.
And the thing is, we are actually sorting the only part what we require, right? Most of the time. So there it is slightly optimizing. Yeah, but if you look at the time complexity also, for this it gave me 276 milliseconds. And for all these min heap and max heap, it was giving me almost this much. So it is, I'm saving almost 50% of the time as per lead code. So therefore I found, because I was also always, pro on this one, like using the max heap. But then when I saw this in the solution, I said, okay, let me go and implement this. So it is surprisingly giving me good result, good runtime complexity.
Okay. Okay.
So if we try to make the recurrence relation for the time complexity expression, it would be T of n equals to T of n minus something. So we are not sure about that something, right?
N minus one it will be. Let's say one element is sorted on one side and rest of the element are on other side of the board. So worst case I'm talking.
So worst case, yeah, that would be n square.
Yeah,
Like partition would take O of n time.
exactly.
Oh, so you are saying it will be n square if it is the worst case, you're saying, right? If it's
Yeah, yeah.
completely the reverse
This-
way.
Yeah, and log n is the best case for divide and conquer.
Yeah, and log n will be this.
It will come when equally we are dividing T of n equal to 2Tn by 2 plus some constant amount of work you're doing. Yeah.
In the traditional quicksort, I think we go to both the sides, right?
In traditional quicksort, yes, but in quicksort also, yeah, we don't copy though. But anyway, we move the points, right? Yeah,
Yeah, so we
we
go
do it in
both the
place.
sides.
We have to do both sides.
We don't take a call.
We have to sort it, right? Yeah.
Right.
So the worst case is n squared. Like
Yeah.
no, because we only do until the k elements. Even if we get one element in each segment, like even each partition, we go until we get k elements. So that will be like n log k.
Yeah.
If k equal to n, I mean k equal to somewhat near to n.
Yeah, I mean k can be anything, but even if our pivot makes us to partition only one element on one side and all the elements on the other side, still we only do that until k times.
Yeah,
So
k your order of, I mean worst case should be n square. It can be less than n into k, something like that. You can say k, as long as k less than equal to n, it will be n.
Yeah, but
yeah,
still,
yeah.
but still the average case as well as the best case will be n, right?
N.
O of n. Yeah.
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 O of n. Okay.
Why O of n?
O of n log k, no.
No, best case is like O of n.
Best
because
case, yeah, O of n, but average will be O of n log n, right? N log k.
O theta 1 or theta no.
So it will be
luckily,
from n log n, n log k to O n, right? It will be somewhere in that.
Yeah.
yeah.
So can you give me an example of O of n?
If the first pivot element is the kth farthest element from origin, then we get in O of n.
Okay, but that is, I think, a special case.
If you are lucky enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
That's a
that
very
is what even they talk about quick select everywhere. So, best case performance will always be O of n, and then the average will be from n log n to O of n, and the worst case will be n square.
N square, yeah.
Yeah, so we're not able to express time complexity in terms of k in case of quicksort, right?
So yeah, k actually, because we are having it here, so it will be like that will be k log k or n log k. Yeah.
Generally, we use this algorithm to find kth largest or kth smallest element in an unsorted array, something like that. Yeah.
But wherever we are able to use like the max heap, so the interviewer would always ask us to be get a more optimized one. Even if we argue about the time complexity almost being the same, he will always say that we are actually saving some space on that one. So if we have to implement that, I think we might have to be ready with this also,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever the time complexity, we can always talk about that and explain him this way. But I think the discussion will be tending towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead with the next one.
Yeah. So sorry. Next is like largest mountain in an array, and the array should, I mean, the mountain and the property is like we can then
Not your
it will, okay, sure.
Explain.
Yeah, it will the elements will first keep on increasing, reach to a peak, and then it will decrease like mountain shape. So array of integers is given, and we are supposed to return the longest mountain. So if we see 1, 4, and then increasing 7, and then it's decreasing. So this is the largest mountain that we can form out of this array, which is a plus 5. And coming to this, it is constant to like small mountain.
Santosh, your voice is not audible.
So is it? It's breaking, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
some net issues.
Okay.
Is it audible now? Louder?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is good now. Yeah.
Yes.
okay. Yeah. So yeah. So I was saying here the elements keep on increasing first. We'll reach to a peak and then we'll start decreasing, like shape of a mountain. And this is the largest subarray that we can form out of it. And coming to this second one, it's a plateau. None of them is increasing. It's a like monotonic, non-increasing, you can say. So yeah, so there is no mountain in that case. And follow up is like we are supposed to solve it in one pass only and in order of one space. Yeah. So how to, I mean, what should be the brute force here?
Oh yeah. So the brute force, you actually go through the whole array in a
Okay.
outer loop, and inside actually you look for this peak. For each and every, you start with the first element, second element, third element, like that. And whenever you find a peak, for finding the peak, it's going to be the same way what we are actually discussing here in the problem statement, right? You just look for all the indexes and try to see if we find an increasing value. So whenever we find an increasing value and then we find a decreasing value, just keep on looking for the maximum, the left and right coordinates until we don't hit another peak, right?
Yeah.
So that will be a brute force.
I think that's little optimized, right? I think brute force would be for every element, try to pick other element on right side or left side and see whether that can make a mountain. If it is a mountain, see if it is a max mountain size or not.
Keep on updating
Yeah.
the maximum.
You mean take the
Yeah.
outer loop for the peak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're saying take the outer loop for the, whenever you take an element in the outer loop, you start with the next element.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
saying that let's take that as a peak element, like let's assume, and then go left and right.
Oh,
No. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. What I meant
Go
was,
left and right, then can start from one position till length -1.
right.
Sorry, length -2.
Yeah, actually, yeah, both the solutions will work, whatever the way Dilip said as Harshit also, because what Harshit came up with a very good idea also, right? So you consider that element as a peak and just look for the left and right always.
Yeah.
Yes.
Try to
Right.
form a mountain.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one.
what I meant was for every element, like for if you pick two, you need to pick all the elements like 5, 2, 3, 7 from back or front somewhere, and see if that two elements can form a mountain between with elements in between. So I was thinking that was the brute force, like.
Yeah, that is also right. So, but this one I never thought of the way Harshit said.
Yeah, that
That
was
a good
lot
one.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now
What if
coming
the
to the one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Shashank.
I was saying, what if the first element is largest and then keep on decreasing like this, half mountain, like
It will not be possible because they mention it should be mountain, and if
that?
there is kind of that, then we should return 0 at that moment because that's not a mountain.
Right.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And yeah, it's kind of a sub array. It can be the whole array for sure,
Mhm.
but cannot be start point or end point of the mountain.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Mhm.
Yes, Santosh, go ahead. You were asking something.
Okay. No, coming up with this the one pass solution.
So the other thing, other way can be like find, you know, traverse this array, find the peak. Uh, just make a condition that if your left is lesser than the current element and your right is also lesser than your current element, then go ahead and traverse left till you find decreasing and go right till you find decreasing.
Sonia, are you talking about the linear one?
Yeah, linear approach.
One pass one.
Yes, and it could be in one pass, and just need to calculate the max, whatever the max length at that point. So if we find like how we are traversing and we found that 7 is the peak because its left is also small and right is also small. And after that we can check the left. After that we can go ahead and go to the left of 7 till we reach to the point where it is not more that no more decreasing is going on, then that's the last point. And similarly we can go at the right side of the 7 till we didn't find any, till we reach the point where it is not more not decreasing anymore, and then we can just calculate the total distance of like this. We know that this is 1 point right and 1 left, and then just minus and then calculate the distance of it, and we can take a max point over max value also, so that whenever we go ahead we should have the maximum distance at that point.
Okay, so are you trying to say like if we have this example input, the first example, so
Yes.
we have this 2, 1, 4, 7, 3, 2, 5. So you
Yes.
start traversing, and for example, if you reach 7, okay,
Yes.
so then from 7 you start going to 4, 1, okay, and then after 1 it's 2 because it's increasing, so you stop there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then similarly you do from 7, 3, 2, and then 5 you stop there because it is again increasing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you're actually going to take the left and right values and say this is my max so far, and then keep on doing for each and every element, correct?
Yes.
But this would be a sort of brute force what we discussed, right?
So
Yeah, Sonia, go ahead.
yeah, so there can be optimization more of it, but the way is like, I think someone is saying to go one each and every, like, so we are making a condition that just taking the left and right.
So this is not one pass, right?
Yeah,
That
it
can
won't.
be one pass.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, but only thing is we are because when we are reaching 7, we already have this information, right? Because
Yeah.
1 to 7 is already increasing, so why not use that information? Because we already have that, and again we are trying to, because when we reach 7, we already know the pattern, so we
Okay,
can
so
use
you're
that
saying
information. Yeah.
one, or okay, so you're saying we can make some point over here that from this point, for example, if two is, we start from the 2, right? So let's say this is the 1 point from the left, which is small, but then we come up with 1, but this is smaller than the previous one. So right now this is the smallest point. Then after that it goes increasing and increasing, but our point remains at 1 because uh, because that was the smallest point. And then we reached at the peak. We found that that's a peak. And so we go left. So we go again right till we find the point which is not decreasing anymore. So that would be the last point, and then we can just calculate the distance.
Right. So that is what something I was thinking.
Oh yeah, that can be also be done. The only thing is,
Sonia,
sorry,
you don't
go
have to do that. So as you were saying that we start from 2 and then we go to 1 and it keeps on increasing. So you're saying that 2 and 1 can be candidates for the left edge, right?
because I am saying, because right now I am starting with 2 because my point is starting at 2 because I don't know what would be my next element. So if I got the smallest element if I got the element which is smallest than my current value, then that would be my smallest. That would be the point I'll be sticking at the left side.
No, but your rectangle starting from 1 will always have a length, the width lesser than the rectangle starting from 2.
Yeah.
Okay, but in this case, so we actually need at least 3 points, right?
Yes.
To understand our peak.
Yeah.
So if we have a single point, that is what Harshit saying is valid. But only thing is we can't consider that at all as a single value. So we'll always have to say it's a 0 for now, right?
Yeah, because if you find a valid point like 2, then you always have a point left to it for which you have already started the rectangle. So that rectangle will always have a width greater than your rectangle starting from 1. So in this case, we have a rectangle which is from 2, 1, 4, 7, 3, 2, and we also have a rectangle 1, 4, 7, 3, 2. But 2, 1, 4, 7, 3, 2 will always have a larger width. So we don't have to consider that inner rectangle, like subset rectangle.
But we can make a condition that we can't take that 2147 as a rectangle because 2 is greater than 1.
Yeah.
And we need an increasing point over there. It's like, from the left side we need increasing, and from the right side we will want a decreasing.
Sorry, I think I've given the wrong example. So we have a rectangle from 1, 4, 7, 3, 2, right?
Okay.
Yes.
So, if you say we can have another rectangle which would be covering these elements 4, 7, 3, right? So we can comfortably ignore this rectangle because we already have a number which is left to it and which is smaller than 4.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is correct. So because we will maintain something like a max so far, right? So always we will keep on updating the value. So whatever with our left and right, the difference between left and right, if it is max so far, we just add that to that max so far value.
Right.
I think we can make it like just giving a thought. I don't know I'm right or wrong. We can make a 2 point starting from the left and the right. To check from the left, we want the point which should be smallest, and it is going to be increasing. And from the right, sorry.
I'm saying better would be keeping both the pointers at the same point on 2. Like the next number is lesser than 2, right? 1 is lesser than 2. So you make the left pointer to the position of right pointer. Now keep on moving the right pointer till the point you see that the numbers are increasing, right?
Yeah.
So once the right pointer reaches 7, the next number you find 3, which is lesser than 7. So you will again calculate the distance from 1 to 7.
No, we already have that distance, like somewhere.
Somewhere. And then again, what do you say?
We go till 2. 732.
732, yeah.
And we do not need to like revisit or use any second loop. We
can
simply move forward because we cannot have 2 overlapping rectangles. Another rectangle will start only when one of them ends.
So then again left will take the position of right when.
Right. So We can maintain
go
this length somewhere like what we have just calculated from 1 to 2, and then we can move forward.
on, because I mean that hint like from order of one pass they are saying no, like one pass, so two pointer approach should work.
Yeah,
But
so
there
I
must be
first
some
tried
condition.
a ON solution using space, then I got this hint. Like we cannot have overlapping rectangles.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
for overlapping, are you taking any dictionary or what something to keep track or set?
So we can simply ignore, So my confusion was that I can have multiple rectangles, but if we carefully analyze, all those rectangles will be mutually exclusive. So in this case,
Yeah.
we have 14732. So any rectangle like 473 is also a rectangle. So we don't have to consider that. We'll simply go from 14732 and then we look for the rest of the rectangles from 5 onwards. So this would be a O of n one, like
Oh,
one
okay.
pass.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a nice thought. Like,
Okay. Oh,
Like
do
if
you
you,
want to share, Arshit?
so I
Do you
have
have
the
a
code.
code?
Yeah, I don't have the most optimized one. I have O of n plus some space.
Okay.
Yeah.
My screen is visible.
Yes.
yeah.
So okay, so I'm maintaining these two arrays, left and right. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm storing so basically left of I tells me about the index of my left base with my ith element as the peak. So let's take an example. Okay, so when I start at 2, this can never be a rectangle, so there cannot be any left edge. So I simply put this left of 0 is 0. So I'll tell you how I'm using this further. So now I come to 1. So this 1 is not greater than this. So this does not satisfy. So I put this left of I as I only. So I have left as 0, 1. So I'm storing the indices. Now I come at 4. I see that a of I minus 1 is less than a of I. So 1 is less than 4. So this can give me a left edge. So I store this index left of I equals to left of I minus 1. So my left of I minus 1 is 1. So I store 1 here. Now I move to 7. So I check whether my 7 is greater than 4 or not. So it is. So I simply store what is there for 4. So basically my my rectangle, which has 4 as a peak, has this 1 as the left element. So same would be with 7 also. So I would store 1 here for 7. Now I go to 3. This condition does not satisfy. So I put just the index of 3 over here, and that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now moving to 2, this does not satisfy. So this would be 5. And for 5, I would have this condition, this would satisfy. So I would store this 5 only here. That is the index of 2. By this traversal, I have the left edge of the mountain. Now similarly, I do for the right edge using the same concept. I start from the right hand side and I store the right edge, indices of the right edge for every element. Now in the last step, I simply do this, like I subtract the indices and maintain my maximum.
Okay.
So one thought I'm thinking is like you did comparing like left and you are storing as a memory. Can't we take any kind of a variable which would be like minimum so far instead of, because I'm just thinking like to save a memory.
Could be, looks good.
Yeah, that is right.
The next time you
If you have multiple It's a multiple mountain, then one variable comes to all of them, right?
Yeah, that is, yeah, that might be one thing. But yeah, this is interesting, Harshit. So, how, so the way you did for the left, okay. So, if we can quickly do for the right, okay. So, you don't have to actually walk through, but if you can just show how it is represented, like here.
So basically, I'll try to explain the intuition behind this.
Uh-huh.
So if an element at this position is having some mountain, like a right edge mountain, and if a of I is greater than this, so let's take an example. Let's take 7, 3, 2. So I start from my this. I put the index of 5 over here. That is 6.
I think that is 6. 6,
Yeah,
yeah.
that should be 6. Now I move to this position. I see that this element is lesser than this, so this would not satisfy, and I'll move in the else part. This would be 5. Now I go to the 3. Now 3 is greater than 2, so basically it can form a mountain with it can form a mountain with a of I plus 1. So I store the index of 2, that is 5.
Oh, okay.
Now coming to 7. 7 is greater than 3. So I store whatever I've stored for 3, because that would form a monotonic sequence. So I'd store 5 for 7 also. This would, like this, I would fill the entire array. And in the left array, I'll have the left edge, and in the right array, I'll have the right edge. So I'll simply do this for every element, like right of I minus left of I plus 1. This would give me the width of that mountain.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That,
Like
okay, that makes
maintaining
sense.
2 prefix arrays, right? Order of 2 prefix arrays.
Yeah, almost similar to that. Yeah, but sort of monotonic stack
Yeah,
approach
kind of.
also. Yeah, yeah.
You can kind of, yeah, Ronnie, go ahead.
In this for test example 2,
Sorry, come again.
for example 2, can you please quickly run for example 2?
Okay.
I'm assuming everything will be 0, 1, 2 and 2, 1, 0.
0 only. It would be 0 only, because this condition I'm using, it is greater than,
Right.
and same for the left part.
Right. So for your left array will be something like 0, 1, 2, right?
It would be 0, 0, 1, 2, right? Correct.
Right. And for your right array will be like
210.
It would be
it will be 0, 1, 2.
no,
Right.
it would be 2. It would be the same.
Yeah, 0, 1, 2 only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, from front.
0, 1, 2. This one.
Left of 5. Oh, okay. So my question was that where are you handling the plus 1? So I think on line of for do you are checking left of I is equal to I.
Basically, that can never be a mountain.
Okay, so can you please run with this? Yeah, your left is 0, 1, 2 and your right is 0, 1, 2.
Yeah. So I come into this loop, line number 41.
Right.
I check this condition. This is true, right? Left of 0 is 0 only.
Oh, okay.
And same with the right part. I mean, any of them can be true. Then I
Right. Okay, and these are, yeah, got it. Thanks, cool.
Yeah, but this line 42, okay, coming up with this is not so easy, right?
Yeah, basically these elements can never be a mountain. Like they never.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
because that's the trick over here. I know it's going to handle only the edge case, but that's very difficult to come up with. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
very good. Yeah, it's good approach.
Yeah, but this takes space and the complexity is linear only.
Yes.
space for optimizing, I think was that some variable you'll have to use, like so far or from left side or from right
In the
side and
two-pointer
hotspot.
approach, the way Simia was saying, that would be the best one.
Maybe
Yeah.
if you club left and right in a single for loop, maybe then you can have like a two-pointer approach, maybe. Or not actually two-pointer, but like two variables.
Two variables, but I'm doing it for every element. No, that is
Right.
the part. That is the that is why I need this storage.
Yeah.
Right.
In your case, yeah, that would be possible though. Yeah, that's right. Okay, good. So we have anyone actually sharing the two-pointer approach?
Some flag if you take and then you should come back.
Yeah, we just walk through it.
Solution then some.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
okay. Let me actually share mine then. I've actually used it from the same solution. Okay, I'll just quickly run through. You don't have it, Shashank, right?
Pardon?
Do you have that two-pointer approach? You have
No, no, no.
implemented it?
I
Okay.
think I'll have to look into solution.
Okay. Yeah, I picked up from the solution. So this was the
Oh, yeah,
one.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So it is, I'm using these 2 pointers. This is first P1. And then I'm running through this whole N, which is the size of A array. And initially I start the second pointer starting from the first one. Okay. And then I just check here, like if my second pointer, the next position is lesser than N, then I actually compare those two values. If actually it is trying to form an increasing ramp. Okay, if it is, then I keep on incrementing that in this while loop. And then if it exits from this while loop, if it is not increasing, this value is not increasing, right? Then actually look for the same thing for the downside of that mountain. Okay, the same condition. And again, the same implementation here, but only the difference is with the sign, the less than sign. Okay, again increment P2, and then you have this max of R value as the answer. Just keep on updating this value. And when you are done with this if one, just increment the P1 pointer to either you just increment it with one value or whatever is the P2, whichever is the maximum. So actually you don't have to traverse that. So that was the one which was in the solution.
So why P1 we are increasing by 1?
Yeah, because if you are, I'm sorry, if you are not going this whole if, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Then,
So then you have to move to the next one, because in this example, when you are at the 2 position,
okay.
okay, so you are not entering this if at all, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you have to move to the next pointer. That is why P1 will be 1. And when we enter this one, then you actually go through the whole one. And at that time, your P2 will be somewhere here, right? So then you will just jump. P1 will jump here because you don't have to check this again, right?
Yeah. By looking at the code, it looks like O of NQ, but condition is optimizing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like that. I also thought that earlier, because anyway, we are using 2 pointer. So we have to start with that, and I keep on moving, right?
Yeah.
But only at the end, when we come here, actually, that is where actually he tries to,
Updating the max.
update, yeah, the P1 pointer to the latest one. If it is not successful, actually it will again keep on doing many things. So it won't be exactly often. There might be slight more things happening.
Yeah.
No, I think it's O of N only.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's O of N.
but if we have something like 1, 4, 1, okay, another 2, 3 peaks in that case, if there are nested peaks inside that.
So it'll entirely skip that mountain.
Yeah.
That is what it is doing now. So P1 equals to max of P1 plus 1 comma P2. So that P2 is on the right edge of your mountain.
Okay. I was thinking like if we have a small mountain, and then another mountain inside that. Okay, yeah, maybe I'm not coming with a good test case, but yeah,
So
it
we
might be
can take
possible.
1 4 1 and then 1 1 4 1 and then 5 2.
1 4 1 5 2. Okay, so 1 4 1 it will come, then it is going to skip that and then go to 5 2 because that is not necessary. And then you go for 1 5 2. Yeah. In that case, actually, it will skip. Yeah, that is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might be open. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, some internal discussion.
Oh, okay, so sorry. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Good.
Yeah. So we can switch to next. So our next question is like maximum equal frequency. Array of positive nums is given and supposed to return the longest possible length of array of prefix num such that by removing exactly one element from this prefix, every number will appear equal number of times. So if after removing one element there are no, it's still considered that every element has the same number of occurrence, which is 0. So if we look at this example, so if we look at the prefix of 5, so prefix of 5 will be from this area 2 to 3, and if you remove 5 out of that, all of the elements will have the equal frequency. Coming to this, again prefix of the big 5, like the last 5. Here if we will remove 0 element, so again the frequency will be equal. So the entire entire length will be 13 here. And coming to here, you have to remove, I think, if prefix of this we get, what do you say, this single two, last two, this area. And if we remove one out of it, then we can, then we can get the resultant, here it was like something in this area. I'll tell like from 3 to 6, I think, right? If you remove 5 from 3 to 6, then each element will occur single time.
Yeah, and also from the start, like if you have 10 to 8, 9, they are all uniques, and 3, and then you come to 8, then you have 8 as 2 times. The rest all are uniques, and again you go to 1, still 1 is unique, but 8. But then when you come to 5,
No.
5 is also fine. When you come to 2, it is not, right?
Yeah.
So if you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah. So that is also possible from 10 to 5, 20 to 1, yeah.
So there could be multiple such subarrays, right? But the longest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we can take subarrays. It says prefixes. So the left boundary should always be the first element.
Come again, Arshit. Yeah.
So, in the description, it says that we have to find the prefix, right? So, in my understanding, prefix is something which always starts from the first element.
First to the second last of the whichever element you want the prefix.
Yeah, first to anything.
Yeah, this is the prefix for 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is slightly confusing the way they are saying it is prefix. Yeah, it need not be a prefix though, right?
No, it's tailing from prefix, you have to remove the element. That's true. No. For this 5, this is the prefix, right? And you have to return the entire length of the array for which it was a prefix.
Okay.
To remove exactly one element from this prefix so that every number.
So it is always to start from the beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that makes the question easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like to a certain extent.
Yeah.
After this, the first two solutions that come to my head is start from index 0, keep a map, ordered map of number and its count, and start to enter inside the map and keep an answer variable which will be initialized with 0, and it will be like a nested loop in which you will check whether it is possible to remove one element from the unordered map such that the rest of the elements occur in the same frequency.
Oh, so
And
you are talking about the brute force approach.
right, the brute force approach.
Okay, so sorry, I missed that. You're saying you start with any one element first, and then
I
you,
start with 0.
okay,
So it's like int I equals 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So inside that while loop, inside that for loop, I'll first push the element at index I into an order map, and the map will be like a integer number and its frequency. So for this example one, like in when I equal to 0, the map will be map of 2, yeah, right, 2 comma 1, exactly. Map will be 2 comma 1, and I will try to see if I can remove any element such that my answer is improved. So I'll say yes, I can remove 2, and if I remove 2, then it is possible to have like a prefix array which have all the elements in the same occurrence, and the occurrence will be 0, and the length of that prefix array will be 1, right?
mm-hmm.
So I'll increase my ans to 1, then I'll update my ans with 1, and then I'll go to I equal to 1, similarly do again that step, then I equal to 2, I equal to 3, I equal to 4, and so on. So eventually, in the end, I'll just return on.
Okay, but when you are removing an element, sorry.
So, Ronnie, I'm saying that so you're going to traverse the map every time, right?
Right. So n square.
Yeah, that's brute force, so that's okay. So when you are actually traversing the map, and if you have any value which is lesser than which is inside the map, not at the end. So yeah, you'll have to traverse the map again. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
The only case example I think that it will fail is like something like 2 only. Yeah, like two same numbers or same numbers just. In that case, I equal to 0. At I equal to 0, my answer will be 1, and then at I equal to 2, my answer will be 2. Sorry, no. Actually, no, it will not fail. Yeah, we'll have to consider that case. If map only contains one element, then the answer will be 0.
Okay, if your map has only one element, can't that not be that same element? The value will be
yeah, so it will still, let's say there's only one variable, the nums only contain one single element, let's say 5 or 4, whatever, then it's already the same number of occurrence, right? Every element just occur once. There's only one element.
Remove that element, so that can be a valid candidate, right?
But do we need to?
Yeah, that is what they say. We always have to remove one. Yeah. Or else example 3, you have 3 ones and 2 twos, 3 twos. So you could have had a output as 6, correct?
Example 3. Just a second.
Yeah, so you could have a value of 6, but they are not saying no, you can't. You always have to have 5. You should be able to remove at least 1. So correlating your solution, if you had only one element in nums, like 1, so it is like you just remove that because you already have put that in a map and you just remove it. So your map size is now same. Like we are all, so you can have a output as 1 in that case. That is what I think. Should be fine.
But what exactly, like how was the answer 5 here in example 3?
The first 5 elements.
First 5, yeah.
You remove any of the ones, then you will have 2 ones and 2 twos.
Correct.
Oh, okay, got it.
So you always have to remove 1.
Okay, okay. Yes.
That is what it has to be.
Yeah, but Ronnie, how are you handling like if we have 1 comma 1?
Okay.
Then how do you go about this? For this or
For
after
one
two?
comma,
One only, right?
right.
So either you
So
handle as an edge case, okay, saying
right.
because if it is 1 comma 1, if your size of enums itself is 1, you return 1.
Okay, and if size is not one and we have just one like one unique element, like 2 times 1.
Yeah, I mean
Okay, yeah.
that is same, right? Because in either way, I'll be checking the size of the map. So the map will still be size one, right?
Yeah, so if the size of the map is 1, then answer is going to be 1.
Yes.
Yeah, because if it is just input nums as 1 1, so he'll come in the loop. First, he'll put the first element in the map, okay, and he's always going to walk through the map to see if he can remove one element. So in that case, he can surely remove one element. So max size will be 3, right?
Right.
So he
Right.
can always say that value is 1, max of 1. Then when he comes to for the second one, so it will be 1 2, right? So
Right.
if you remove
So
that, that won't be a valid answer.
no, in that case as well, the number of elements present in the map that will still be one, right? The size of the map will still be one, right?
So
So
if you
let's say
say
there
that,
are
But we are actually not depending on the size of map. We are depending on the number of elements, right? The prefix elements.
let's say there are let's yeah. Go ahead,
yeah,
Harshad.
yeah. So what I'm saying is that this has to be equal, because if you insert that second, then in your map you'll have one as the key and two as the value. Now, like
Hmm.
how do you handle this? We say that we can remove an element, and after that removal, the count has to be the same, right?
Right.
So in case of this one element, that has to be 0, like after. So I think that has to be this has to be a edge case.
I'm not
As
sure I understood your problem. Like I understood your question. Sorry.
so
But 1
as
1
suppose,
will be true, right?
The frequency will be two. So what I'm saying is, let's say there are hundred
Okay,
one.
let me write.
Hello.
yeah.
So what I'm saying is, let's say there are 101 or any same element, 100x. Then in that case, the size of the map at index 0 or at index 99 will be still 1, right?
Right.
So I'll just return at index 0 or at index 99. The answer will still be 1 only, because I'll still be returning 1. So
Yeah.
now if different elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In that case, at index 0, I'll iterate over the map, size is 1, and the answer will be 1. At index 2, size will be 2, and we'll iterate over the map and see, okay, if we remove any one element, then the size for second will be 1, which is the only element, so it makes sense. So answer will still be 1. At index 2, the size of the map will be 3, and the answer will still be 1, because if we remove any of the 1 elements, then then the size of rest of the elements is still same, the frequency is still same, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something what I'm saying.
I think this will be too big. Once you'll also have to run a loop for selecting the elements that you are looking to remove.
uh, mm, yeah,
So
maybe you're right.
as you said, you have 1 2 3. So then you try to traverse through your map and you choose an element which you just want to remove and check for the rest of the map. So we'll have one loop for that element loop and the third loop for the traversal in the map. So I think we'll have 3 loops.
Yeah, maybe it's possible.
Yeah.
Hello.
So yeah.
Sorry.
So Harshit, I think this was the example what you're saying, like nums 1 1.
I think your voice is not clear.
Yeah.
Your
Okay. No problem. Sorry.
Shashank, I also,
sure.
is the voice always breaking for me or?
I think everyone's voice is breaking.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. So as everyone was discussing that.
Hey Shashank, can you mute everyone and again unmute who is talking?
Sure, sure.
I think Shashank can do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So while traversing it will keep a count of every characters. Along with it, will also make an array. Okay. So first of all, let us start traversing the first array. Okay. So I keep a map of it. So first has a count 1, and second time while traversing the count increases. So this way it keeps on increasing. With this parallelly, I would also have an array. Okay. So I will take a count of its initial count. Okay, because initially I will take its initial count and will see its position into the array. Okay, and if I will delete that count and will put it into the next index, because that's the time when it is moved to a next index. Okay, so we'll keep on doing it up to some index. Okay, so if I find some two elements, yeah, so if I find only two index of the array that are filled. Okay, and okay, so this way we can have like if there is only two index that are filled, it does mean that all the basically all the elements are fixed to two number of counts, either two, either three, either two, either three. So if any one of that has only a single element, suppose I have only 4 and 5 index filled up to like 100, up to like a 50 count, but there are only two index, 4 and 5, and I find that in the fifth index it's just a single character that is index uh, uh, come up to that, then that is also that could be a result. But as we keep on traversing it, we have to give the maximum maximum result. Yeah, so that's it, I think.
Devan, can we do this on a whiteboard?
yeah, that will be
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think
done.
Hey,
Copy,
Shashank, you
share.
can just erase this.
Oh yeah, sure, sure.
Sorry about it.
Yeah, it's okay.
there a white.
You can draw here also. Or you want to share your
Yeah,
whiteboard?
yeah, okay. So yeah, this is a, I can't, let me choose
Okay.
sketch. Where I can choose this sketch. Oops. Let me have some like we do it on Visual. I can find the sketch where from it will come.
Share the screen and we can show you.
Yeah, yeah, I'm searching something onto my PC. Yes. So yeah. Okay. So yeah. So we'll have an array initially. Okay, so maybe an array or map, I'm not sure. We'll tell it. Okay. So we have a map of it. Okay. Okay, so it will have like every character. Okay. Uh, so along with it, we also have a count of it. Okay, so this is the map we have initially. So we started traversing the string. Okay, so initially from initial is
Actually, you don't have to write a code if you just walk through what actually you're doing, you know. So
yeah. So yeah. So, okay, so when we just started traversing it, every time we'll keep that into this map, as well as if I find its index. So if I find it to be 1, I will also put that into this character. Okay, so let me make this array of a string. So let me make this of a string. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah, Devan, you can take that example.
okay, I think yeah, that's better. Yeah, I'm not sure how will I
yeah,
show
no,
it. Yeah.
I'll actually, you know, I'll spell out that the number inputs are 2211, you know,
Yeah. Okay. So 2 2 1 1
11, yeah, 5 3
5 3.
3 5.
Okay, so 3 5. So yeah. So I started traversing it. Okay, so when I get 2, the two get into our map. Okay, so yeah, 2 is there. 2 is there with a count 1. Okay, initially, and we also have a second array which shows that for a 1 count there is an index called 2. Okay. Okay. So now I move to second 2. So I have another map which says 2 has the index that increases to 2, and I will just delete this. Okay, so 1, delete this. Suppose just uh, now I will say that this is moved to index number 2. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Okay, so this has moved to index number 2 right now. Now I just I move to this first. So it shows that first has one occurrence only. Okay, and first so same way. Now the element which has one occurrence is just one. Okay, so I keep on moving it. So one has, well, then the occurrence of one will also increase, by the way. So it's 2 1 right now, and this will be commented. Okay, so now one has a count 2. Okay, so yeah, so up till now, so just a previous position, I find the two entries, 2 and 1. Okay, just while 2 to 1, while it was just 2 to 1. Okay, I find that this complete map has a size 2. Okay, so it so 3 is a most probable result which I can submit. Okay, but I have to find the maximum result. Now I will keep on traversing it again. Okay, so now I have reached to till this position. Okay, so I now move to 5. So why 5 comes to in our map with a count 1. Okay, so I have now so now for 5, for having just one occurrence, I have 5. Now we again find that this map has a two size 2. Okay, and I find that this string or this character has just a size 1. Okay, so I can say 1 2 3 4 5 is also a probable result. So R is for now, RES for now can be
How
5.
do you
Okay,
calculate this
so
5?
uh, uh, so it's basically the index up to where I'm moving now. I is equal to 1, I is equal to 3, I is equal to 4, I is equal to 5. Yeah, or maybe yes, it's the best way we can have this. Okay, because we just run a loop from I to less than the length of the string. Okay, and every time we do this thing. Okay.
Mm. Yeah, so you're trying to maintain two strings with one value 1 and 2, right? So if
Yeah.
one's has to always be of
No.
size 1, right?
Yeah.
Value, and the second can be of any value, any size.
Yeah, so better than saying this maintaining as a string, we can maintaining it as an index. Okay, so the result, the better result we can get is we can have like a maximum occurrences of any element like a 40 40. Okay, so we can have an index for it. Okay, so better than having a string, we can have like a at the 40th index there is like a RTEF. Okay, so RTERD, and not just 41th. We can have just a single character string which is E. So I'm very much, so we can have that up to like a certain index. So it was result something I is equal to 67. So I can say 67 is a probable result because here the size is 2 and one of the index has just is string has just a size 1. So yeah, so we can say that this can be a result.
Okay, but I'm not getting how will you go to 40?
Yeah. So I'm saying we can have a like a
So
of
40 is
having
the
a
count,
string.
right?
Yeah, I'm saying 40 is not the count, 40 is the index of this array vector string. Okay. So basically it is showing that at the 40th index, there is a string called RTEDR. So RTEDR denotes that R has an occurrence 40 times, T has an occurrence 40 times, E has an occurrence 40 times, and
Yeah.
uh, 41 has also, so E has an occurrence of 41. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
You don't have to do it. You have written R 2 times.
oh, sorry. Sorry. So this way, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But the challenge here is to check how to find that only 2 index of the array are filled. Okay, every time. Okay, so the only challenge here is.
Yeah. Maybe use a map in that also.
Yeah, but the thing, yeah, okay,
Yeah, we can
map.
take a map
But
of int
but
comma
how
vector.
but how do we be very much constrained that we can have maximum this much repetition of every character, every character or any number? Okay, so this is a not character, sorry, this is like a number. I have like a big array of like a 10,000. I don't know what the limitation of this question is, but what if we have an occurrence of 400 almost 400 times? Okay, so in that time making a map may or
Okay, I got
but
your
we're not
point.
sure now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can go with your array thing because maximum is 10 to the power 5.
yeah, but
Maximum.
the challenge here is how to find that only 2 index of the array are filled and the rest are null or initialized to just 0.
Yeah.
So it's like every time you're traversing the 40 like a 40 like a 400 sized array every time to find its 2 index are filled.
No. But this is an interesting approach, yeah. So you have a code already implemented for this?
No, not yet. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
see if it's work.
Yeah. But slightly very challenging the way you are saying about the vector string, yeah, it might
Yeah.
work, but what Harshit was saying, yeah, might be not so straightforward to implement, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can try, and then if you have a working solution, yeah, just post
Yeah.
in the Discord so we can actually have one more approach.
Yeah, so the idea I get from the way Devan explained and also from the question is that as soon as we have an odd occurrence, then we have to kind of find a new answer, right?
It's a potential candidate. Like if you
Yeah,
delete
that
that
can
one,
be
you
removed.
might get equal frequency. Yeah.
Earlier, what I was thinking on line 40, when he says 3, 4, 3, 5 to whatever those numbers are, and if we take the size of that string, okay, and also on the line 50, if we take the size of string, which will be 1, obviously, and we add that, we'll get a result. But the only problem will be if we have numbers which are 2-digit, 3-digit, 4-digit, then actually that won't work.
But we also don't know, no, these are starting from the starting of the array and they're continuous.
Yeah. That is also one thing. So those few things we'll have to handle, but then yeah.
Yeah, so I saw a couple of discussions. It was on the same lines the way Devan was explaining, but I couldn't really get the entire.
Yeah.
They're using a formula and dividing into some cases. Like this is the
Okay.
these are the possible cases we have.
Yeah. So what is yeah. Thanks, Devan. So can we actually come up with a optimized approach? Yeah, that was an optimized approach, but yeah, whatever is workable, anyone has implemented, Shashank?
Yeah, I saw. I mean, it's almost based on the what you say, Devan was sharing. But
Okay.
okay, I'll share. I
Go ahead.
took the code from there. There might be glitches, like let's go through. So share the screen. Yeah. So here it's like I'm creating two dictionaries. Let me take the example, then it will be better. Your first dictionary will take care of all the frequency, like how many times this particular number is occurring. This counts dictionary, okay. And second will take care of, like let's say if we take this example.
That's a
So
normal map.
yeah, first one.
I think the second one.
Second is a map we are taking care.
Okay, right.
I didn't like what did come. Yeah. Yes, Harshit was saying something, right?
Yeah, so you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You were
okay.
saying.
So
I think
okay.
someone in the chat is asking the problem.
Oh, explain that. Okay. Yeah, the problem is like, I mean, the entire array is given to you. You have to find such a prefix. I mean, you have to find a sub array whose prefix will all have equal number of frequency by deleting at most one element. Like if you take this entire array, the prefix of last five will be this, and if you delete five out of it, then all these numbers will have equal frequency, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we already discussed the problem statement, right? That is what we
Yeah,
Yeah,
started
no,
with.
but
Yeah.
somebody was asking in the
Oh,
chat.
okay. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if we take the frequency, so 2 will occur, what do you say, 2 times, and 1 will occur your 2 times, then 5 will occur 2 times, and then 3 will occur 2 times. After that, what they are doing is like this is that frequency. Now after that, what we are doing? So initially, what we are checking, there is only one number occurring 1 times, which is 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 2 is how to say this, like 2 is the number which is occurring only one time till now what we have seen.
Right.
Yeah, and second time again you face the 2, that means of that particular index.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the
Yeah,
count is the index.
Yeah, the count will be the
count
index.
is the index.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but in that case, when you say for the first two, you have 1:2, right?
Yeah.
No, 1:1.
No,
Okay.
1:2.
So index 1 is occurring one time. Yeah.
No. Yeah, first, 1:1, and then in the second one, it will be 1:2. So you'll have two entries in it when you actually
Yeah.
reach the second index.
1:2. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll have like this value. Yeah. So
Then
when you
again, if
go to 1 again, that is the third index, you
you
will
will have
have 1:2. So you'll have 1:2,
So
and then
one
when
is
you,
count or what? Like
yeah,
the
there are two elements which is occurring one like this. There are two elements whose index is which is occurring one time. So that's why
I
index.
don't
This is your
understand
index.
the
This is your
line number
index.
27.
yeah, 27 should be 2:1. Yeah, right. So your line 27 should be 2:1 because your count is 2, right? 2:1, right? And then when you come for the third index, which the value is 1, okay? So then you will increment the 26th value to be 2. You can
Right.
remove the 28th value for now. That's not required. Yeah, so 26 value 1:2 it will be when you actually come.
So index one element is occurring 2 times, right? I mean, one group
Yeah,
of
but you are
people.
going to increment the value there on line 26. No, you are not going to add new one.
Yeah, I'll be updating the same. Yeah, like this
Right.
will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No,
The
1,
value
2, 1, 2.
one. So there's nothing called as index. It's count and the I mean the frequency and what do you say the
Yeah.
Group
elements.
Yeah, you can say, yeah. Yeah, no problem.
group and frequency.
Yeah. And then when you come for the fourth one, that is fourth index, it will be 2, 2. Yeah.
Right.
On line 27.
Yeah, this will. It's already 2 here.
No, but the value should be 2 in line 27. Yeah, that's all. So we have completed the first 4 elements of nums. Right. That's and so on and so on. Like if you come for 5, it will be again 1, 3. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So then again you come to 3. At that time it will be 1, 4. Yeah. And then yeah, it will be 2, 3. Yeah.
And then
And
again
then
this
1. Yeah.
5.
1, 5. And then the last one 2, 4.
I think this is it.
I think I made a mistake here.
Yeah. So
Should be 4.
2, 4. And then it will be 2, 4 now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be.
Okay. Yeah.
Now we are multiplying these two values, like 4 into 2 we are checking.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, I don't get here. So they are taking the frequency from this table, this number,
Mm-hmm.
and multiplying with the, how many times that particular number is
Mhm.
occurring.
Correct.
And then once you get that count, they are checking whether it is equal to I plus 1. So what is that?
So, in this case, you mean to say that you have an extra element in that, right?
Yeah,
So,
how do you get? Yeah, okay.
So whenever you're doing that count, okay, if it is because 1 plus I plus 1, because you are on a 0th index, right? So therefore I plus 1 will be your actual value,
First index, yeah.
the number of counts. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is what actually it is, nothing about it. And then you look, and then you actually increment or you store that max value as I plus 2. Because your I actually starting from 0th index, okay, but
Okay.
you are on first index, correct? So therefore 0 plus 2 will, because you have the count value as 2, and therefore that rest will come as 2.
2, okay. And if it is mid of the array, then I plus 1 there. Not mid, like some intermediate position. Oh, no.
When you are actually in the case, for the example, I think when you are on 2, 2, 1, at that time it will go on line 41.
40, 41, yeah, 41.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
What
when
is
you, sorry,
line number 34, like what is it doing?
line number 34.
Yeah.
Okay, so what it does is actually finds that frequency. Yeah, okay, you already have that. Okay, good.
Yeah, go ahead. So here it takes like this, like let's say the frequency 2 is occurring 2 number of times, and what we are doing corresponding to that particular index, like this 2, we are multiplying it by 4. 4 into 2, it is 8, right? Am I correct?
Okay. So is this a part of the for loop or outside?
It's a part of what.
Part of for loop, its spacing is like because of.
So every time he's iterating, actually he's trying to find the count and actually trying to update that rest value, the results value, based on this count value.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
So count into the number of number of elements with that count, right?
Yeah. How many number of elements are there? Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So for every frequency, whatever that value of that frequency, is trying to find how many previous values we already had. So that he's getting with the frequency map. And then he's multiplying with the current value of the current frequency of the nums value.
So like, what is the intuition there, like of doing that? 34. What does that give us? What result like? And mathematically, it's a multiplication. Like, what does it?
Can
So
you write that dry run part somewhere here only?
Yeah. This one you're saying.
mean, somewhere close to that line 34.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
You
okay. It's okay.
you can just copy that up
Yeah, the
something
one
like
you
that.
did just before.
I can copy it.
So yeah, we were doing that. So if we do it one by one, then things will be very clear, you know,
Yeah,
instead
let's
of
do that.
yeah.
So let's. Okay, then I'll go through that print statement what I got.
Yeah,
Okay.
so let's just move. Yeah.
This will make my clear, right?
Yeah, and
So in
you, copy that line 34 somewhere here.
that code.
Just the line 34 and the below code.
Okay. Let's copy it here.
Yeah.
So what it initially the two frequency is one, and that index is occurring one is occurring one time. So 1 into 1 is 1, right?
Okay. So
This
the
you are
line number 49 is count, right? And from 60 the frequency.
yeah, 60 is the frequency.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this will give you 1 and its frequency. This number is occurring till now. What? No, but I'm taking the entire frequency of that number. Like once the
Till that point.
last one we are considering, right?
No, no.
How many times that number is occurring? Or wait, I think
It's
or I
part of your
know.
iteration.
Yeah, yeah, it's a part of iteration. Sorry. Yeah.
So first we get this line number 49 and line number 60.
Okay. So it is 1. The result count is 1.
Yeah, count of num is 1 and frequency of count is num. Yeah, it's 1.
Yeah. Then if count is 1, then we'll enter this. We'll see whether count is equal to I plus 1. Yeah, which this is equal to I plus 1, and so. So we'll take the what you say 2. Rest will be 2, right? And I
Yeah.
isn't.
Rest will be I plus 2, whatever that value I is.
So till now your rest is 2. Again you'll check for.
How can it be 2? We have just iterated one element.
Yeah, you actually iterated one, but you know that you still have one value. That is the reason actually is trying to check. If you look on line 42, I is not equal to length of nums minus 1, right?
Right.
So he's sure that there is still some more value in that array. So he can happily use another value saying because single value doesn't make sense, right? So he knows that there is another value, so he can use that value. It is slightly not so easy to come up with, but that is the way actually, if you use, then only it works.
Bit
So,
intimidating.
yeah, but so he's saying that I'm surely going to get some value. Whether it is the same value or other value doesn't matter, right? Because for me, it is just one more number. And therefore, I can say, okay, my now, this rest will be I plus 2. Okay, because if you then you won't be able to differentiate between the one on line 50, 45 and 43. So how do you differentiate? That's only one is
If
using
the
it.
other element is same as the current element, then we won't be able to.
Oh, it doesn't matter, right? Even if it is the same, till now, till this point, all my frequency, whatever I am looking for, I'm looking for the frequency what I am on. Okay, not on the next one. So if my frequency of my current value, like in the case of 2 to 1, when I'm on 1, I'm going to look for the frequency of 1 only. Okay. So I'm going to look for the frequency 1 of 2 is also 1 and 1 is also 1. So I just have two values. I'm just going to consider two values. Right. So that is the way he's looking for.
So what does yeah, so group 1 is occurring one time, right? Like what to say?
So maybe that is the reason he is very sure that there is only one element existing, which is the one what we are looking for, we can remove that single element. And that is why it is I plus 2.
So how to come up with this in interview? Like itself, yeah.
Well, yeah, but actually understanding itself takes a long time.
Yeah. I mean,
So these are only two special cases. Case whatever you have written, case 1 and case 2.
yeah.
Okay. So case 2 is very easily understandable, correct?
Yeah. That yeah.
Yeah, but only the case 1 is not very easy to come up with. But that is the way I would say, I couldn't find any good solution saying it's a very straightforward way of implementing it. But I was thinking the way the one was coming up might be a good one to
He's on the same track.
understand.
I think this is the same.
And no, he was actually using the strings, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So somehow, if we are able to get those string and get the length of the string, then that will be very standard way of implementing sort of template we can actually use. But yeah, let's see. This code is very concise, but the case
Understanding part.
one, case one actually doesn't match or doesn't make sense for us. Correct.
Yeah. The way I thought of this is that at every step we should check whether we have an odd fit element or not, like an element with an odd count or not. Because the even elements would be symmetric, that we can always have. So we have to remove the odd element.
So I think count is actually giving you the length, like how much length it will span in the array, right? I mean, that let's say any number
Right.
is there, it is occurring 3 times, and that particular 3 index is occurring 2 times. So that gives you how much length that count will span. So from that, if it is odd length, then there might be some element there.
Right. I think for a particular occurrence, like if we have say X elements occurring Y times, then it basically gives me Y times X. Like
Y
I
times,
have
yeah.
these number of elements and they are occurring this number of times. So this gives me a part of my solution. Like I can use this somewhere.
And but how he is checking inside that there is this one element which is uneven occurring? I mean, not following the equal frequency.
I think that is the case one, right?
That is the F42 case one. Yeah, there is at least one element which is going beyond the normal way.
I think this is for the occurrence of one. Like all the elements have the same occurrence, and there's one element which has occurrence 1.
Yeah, that's why it's I plus 1. No, otherwise had the occurrence would be everybody like 2 into 2 it is 4, then count equal to I. But since one element is occurring extra time, that's why they are checking if it is equal to I plus 1. That signifies that no, there is one element which is occurring more than the equal number of times. Right?
So can we like print this, this rest part for this example, and then we'll know like where it is hitting.
I'll have to delete all this.
But I still think the line, the second one, is the real answer.
No, but first one is identifying at least like.
Right. But the line 34 will be the one which will be printing.
Print rest, and this will
Print the
be
num also.
So you can say case 1, case 2, something like that to differentiate,
differentiate it. So I can say that case 1 and then case print rest.
And let's print count also. Okay, like we can go forward.
Yeah, we can copy this.
Let's print the index, I would say.
Oh, index.
Yeah.
Sorry, I Yeah. So initially it is 2. That is,
This is the res. Okay, the first.
Yeah.
the first one is res and second is your index.
Okay. So initially it's 2.
Yeah.
So we have one odd occurrence, right?
Yeah, in the case 1, right?
Yeah. We have like till our index I equal to 0, we have one odd occurrence. Count is going to be 1.
Till index 0 we have a res equal to 2. So yeah, actually we had one. I didn't get like,
So I'm saying that I'm going to the array only. Like on my index 0, I have 2, which has a count of 1, and that is odd.
odd. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So this is where this is coming into play. This res of res comma I plus 2.
Yeah, therefore the rest is 2 in that case, because if we are on the 0th index, correct? Yeah. So if we go on first index, that is another 2. So we are still in the case 1, correct?
Uh,
So we are still in the case 1, but our rest is going to be 3 because, he's taking the next element also. That is what it looks like. And this is very odd though, right? So we keep doing that. Okay, you go for index 2, which is on line 52. Okay, so in that he actually enters case 2. Okay, so when that happens, when you are in index 2, it means you have a value of 1. Okay, and this num which is 1, it is going to look for the value of only one frequency, which are actually 2. Correct. And then this 3, whatever he is printing, because he knows that there is one more value inside that. Okay, because we have another 2. Correct. So therefore he is having a res plus 1 on line 51.
res.
Okay. So that is, I think that he is taking care of that one additional value.
Odd one, right?
And if you look at it, always the case 2 will be the value which he will be returning. Or maybe that will be the maximum value, because that will have an extra 1.
Case 2.
Yeah, the case 2 will always have an extra 1. At least it looks like that in the first example. And then when he goes for the index 3, okay, he goes back, he is on 1, and actually he goes to the case 1 again. So that is fine. But then he's going to skip all the index like 4, 5, okay, because they are single ones and they don't make sense, correct? You cannot add them anywhere for now.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're actually disturbing our flow. So when he goes and hits 3, then he says, okay, I can find another 3. Okay. And then also he finds another 5. Okay, when he's actually looking for, then he goes to the case 2 on index 6. 1, 2,
And
3, 4, 5, 6. This is the last 3, correct?
5. Yeah. So he'll
Yeah.
enter he'll enter case 2.
Yeah, he will enter case 2, and at that time he has an extra 5. And he still knows that there is another additional 5. No, in case 2, he doesn't consider that. So he just takes for whatever that value is, and he adds that rest to 1. Rest 1, right? But yeah, it looks okay, but no, it's very,
Strong
still I
intuition
don't
is
think so. It's not, it is not making sense to me at least.
yeah.
It looks okay. At least we can relate the way it is doing. But why he's doing that, I'm not sure.
It's like they are. Yeah.
Yeah, if possible, if we have some bandwidth, we can keep this for a Sunday.
Yeah. So there are hints also, what they say. Okay, if you look at the hints, keep a track of mean and max frequency, what he's saying. If you go to the description part of this answer, if you go scroll down, see, he has given 2 hints. Okay, he says keep track of min and max frequency. That is the first hint. And the second is the number to be eliminated must have a frequency of 1, same as the others or same plus 1.
The odd one out, basically.
Yeah. The number to be eliminated must have a frequency of 1.
Yeah, that means that is odd.
Yeah, so if all the elements have the same frequency, then I think that
One
would
greater
be
than that.
same as the others comes into play, or the other case, like when all the other elements have the same frequency and there's one odd one out, then that a number is the one to be eliminated.
Yeah. So if all are 2, that should be 3. The 3 times it
Right.
should
Oh
occur.
yeah. So the elimination one is one which we are actually going to count. Okay. Yeah, but he's actually explaining the problem statement again. Nothing big deal about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no one is doing the way they are actually showing in the hints. Okay.
We'll have to check now, I think.
But everyone is actually implementing the way they are saying, right? So
Yeah.
someone is saying that we can have a buckets, right? 1 bucket and 2 bucket. So 1 bucket, all elements have the same frequency, and 2 buckets will be all elements have frequency count 1 or count 2. You know, so that is what
Okay.
he's saying. So if you look for the most voted and then C++ simplest fastest something in the discussions, just scroll down. Yeah, yes, yeah, this one, the C++ simplest fastest. Yeah. So he is explaining about the buckets.
1 bucket, single number repeats many times, and all number repeat 1 time. Single number repeats many times, and all numbers repeat. Oh, so 2 bucket is making, right? 1 for unique elements,
Right.
another will be like a single number occurring how many number of times? Oh, single number repeats many times. Yeah. And 2 buckets is like 1 bucket has frequency of 1 and only 1 element. One and only 1 element. The frequency of 1 plus 1 and only 1. Again, it's not that clear, right? Second bucket.
Yeah. So if you look at the way he's implementing, he's using that n, which is equal to 5,000, which is the max value, 50,000, sorry. And then the same for the C also. And yeah, almost everyone does the same way, but has a different style of doing it.
Where was it? This question asked, like?
American Express.
Oh, MX.
Yeah, that's fine, but actually we should be able to get some at least, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Harshit says, we can keep this for a